The Ravens GM, Eric DeCosta, has finally broken his silence about Derrick Henry's future. And the burning question is, will he stay in Baltimore? With each passing day, the pressure keeps mounting. What DeCosta decides could change the course of the season, and even the fate of the team. With a player like Henry, who had an outstanding 2024 season, the uncertainty is in the air, renewal or departure. What's even more interesting is that DeCosta, with his cautious approach, knows that every move now is crucial. If you're a Ravens fan, this is a moment you can't miss. Stay with me until the end and discover what's behind this important decision for Baltimore's future. Go Ravens! Tell me, fan, when was the last time you saw a 31-year-old running back carry a season on his back like Derrick Henry did? The guy came to Baltimore and didn't need any time to adjust. He put on the purple and black and started tearing apart opposing defenses. It's not an exaggeration to say that he was the heart of the Ravens' ground attack, in a league where running the ball is getting harder and harder. Henry rushed for 1,921 yards and scored 16 touchdowns. That's star-level production, not that of a veteran. He carried the ball 325 times, a workload that many younger players can't even handle. But he did it, and more than that, he delivered at a high level from start to finish. With that, he proved to anyone who doubted that he's still one of the best in position. Many said that at 30 he would start to decline, that running backs don't last that long, that his physical style would take a toll. But Henry answered all that on the field with power, vision, and an incredible ability to break tackles. He ran like it was 2019, but now with the experience of someone who's seen everything in the NFL. It's a rare package, raw strength with refined game reading. And it wasn't just in the stats. Henry changed the way defenses played against Baltimore. Opponents had to put more men in the box, opening up space in the backfield, making even the passing game easier. He and Lamar Jackson created an explosive partnership, with tempo changes and plays where it seemed like the defense didn't know who had the ball. Additionally, he brought a leadership impact. Even though he was new to the locker room, he arrived with respect. Younger players listen and learn from him. Henry is the kind of guy who commands presence, not just with what he does, but with what he represents. A veteran who leads by example, with dedication and with a hunger for a title. That weighs a lot, and it weighs even more when the season hits its decisive moments. What we saw in 2024 wasn't just a good year from a veteran player. It was a statement. Henry is still elite. He can still decide games. He can still carry a team. And on a roster like the Ravens, always knocking on the Super Bowl door, having a player like that makes all the difference. And then comes the question no one can ignore. With his level of performance, how is he still making so little? Now think with me, fan. How can a guy who rushes for almost 2,000 yards, scores 16 touchdowns, and changes the way defenses play against the Ravens be earning only $6 million next season? In NFL terms, that's pocket change for a player with this impact. It's one of the cheapest contracts in the league when you compare what he delivers on the field with what he's set to make in 2025. The Ravens made a great deal when they signed Henry for 2 years, especially considering his age and the questions at the time. But now the situation has changed. He has already shown that he's nowhere near the end of his career. And when a player produces more than his salary indicates, the pressure for a pay raise or even an extension starts to grow, both from the player and from the fans and analysts. And there's another point here. Henry knows his worth. He spent years in Tennessee being the face of the franchise, and now he's come to Baltimore and kept that same level. It's not just about ego or recognition. It's about fairness. Players who produce at this level usually get contracts that reflect it. And if the Ravens want to keep this sharp offense, they'll need to take a close look at the situation with number 22. Now, we can't ignore the side of the franchise either. There's a salary cap, other renewals to make, and everything needs to be calculated carefully. But failing to recognize the value of what Henry did in 2024 could be a costly mistake, because if he keeps up this pace in 2025 and hits the market as a free agent, there will be teams offering more. You can bet on that. And this is where the sensitivity of a smart front office comes into play. When you have a talent like this delivering beyond expectations, The ideal move is to act before the market does. Avoid letting him enter the final year of his contract feeling underappreciated. Show that the team values not only what he's done, but what he can still do. And that takes action and money. Henry is not just another player who had a good year. He was essential to the Ravens' offensive identity in 2024. And on a team that is always dreaming of the Super Bowl, underestimating the importance of a key piece can be costly. The time to act is now. But then comes the doubt. Is the Ravens front office ready to make this decision with conviction? Because so far, all we've heard is silence. And you, fan, can you see how this Derrick Henry contract is undervalued compared to what he truly deserves? Leave your comment if you also think Baltimore should value more a player who carried the offense on his back, or if you've seen another case of Star being underestimated despite giving everything on the field. I want to see your opinion in the comments. Eric DeCosta isn't just dealing with a simple decision. He's balancing multiple priorities on a team with high expectations and a championship window that can't be wasted. Derrick Henry's situation is just one piece of this complex puzzle. However, it's a crucial piece, and DeCosta's silence only heightens the pressure. DeCosta knows that every move impacts the locker room. He has to consider not just Henry's market value, but how this decision affects the team as a whole. Keeping players motivated and feeling valued is essential. Leaving an important player like Henry in contractual limbo could create discomfort, something DeCosta tries to avoid at all costs. And it's not just Henry's case. There's an entire structure to balance. The Ravens are looking for reinforcements in the draft and considering re-signing other key players. The priority is keeping the core strong, and for that, DeCosta needs to know where to invest. Renewing with Henry is a big step, but he has to make sure it doesn't compromise other important moves, especially concerning the salary cap. Moreover, the pressure is higher when it comes to a team with Super Bowl aspirations. A team's competitive window isn't eternal. Any wrong decision could delay the process of building a championship team. Therefore, DeCosta needs to ensure that all moves are aligned with the greater goal. And this requires more than just numbers. It requires vision and sometimes making difficult decisions, such as postponing an important renewal if it means maintaining flexibility for other moves. Time is running out. Decisions need to be made quickly, and uncertainty about Henry's future could start to create a sense of instability within the team. Fans and the players themselves notice when something important is pending. This can affect the locker room's confidence, and DeCosta knows that. He can't afford to wait too long. What's at stake isn't just renewing a player, but the confidence in the entire team management process. If DeCosta manages to act at the right time, the impact will be positive both for his relationship with the roster and for the continuation of the championship project. But the risk of making mistakes or delaying things too long could be fatal. Will DeCosta be able to make the decisions at the right time, or will he miss the crucial moment to strengthen the team's core? Eric DeCosta's priority, now more than ever, is to keep the team's core strong. He knows that a championship roster is not just made up of stars, but by a set of pieces that complement each other and function in harmony. And Henry, despite being an essential piece, isn't the only priority right now. Roster management requires DeCosta to strike a balance between talent and financial capability. Baltimore already has a solid core, with Lamar Jackson, Marlon Humphrey, Ronnie Stanley, among other high-level players. These players are part of a winning culture, and losing key pieces could destabilize the balance that has been built over the years. That's why DeCosta is considering not just renewing with Henry, but also with other players who play a vital role in the team's performance. He knows that a well-managed talent rotation is what keeps the team competitive. The challenge is that financial situations are never simple. The salary cap imposes limits, and even high-level players need to be negotiated carefully. This is where DeCosta's skill as a GM comes into play. He needs to be creative in his moves to ensure that the best players can stay on the roster without sacrificing the future. And at the same time, he has to ensure that the team remains competitive, should there be any weak spots that need to be addressed through reinforcements. Moreover, renewing Henry can't be treated in isolation. Maintaining a balance between veterans and rookies, ensuring the team has a good mix of experience and youth, is crucial. DeCosta can't simply renew with the players who are performing well right now. He needs to ensure the team has continuity and longevity in its key pieces. That's why every move needs to be made with a clear vision for the future. The Baltimore team has championship ambitions, but for that, the core needs to remain intact. If Henry is renewed, the renewal has to be structured in a way that doesn't interfere with the financial space needed for other contracts. DeCosta has to have this vision beyond the present, thinking about the coming years and how the team will continue to stay competitive long-term. DeCosta's real challenge is that he needs to make quick decisions, but precisely without making mistakes when it comes to cuts or choosing who should be kept. The future of the team depends on these choices. Will DeCosta be able to manage the balance between keeping the big names on the roster and at the same time strengthening the team where necessary to ensure competitiveness? Well, we're already heading to the fifth topic, but before that, I noticed you haven't left your like on this video yet. It's very important for YouTube to keep promoting my content to you, so I can continue bringing you the best content about the Baltimore Ravens. So, go ahead and leave that like on this video. It's free, right? Thanks. Continuing. With the free agent market always in motion, the risk of losing key players to other teams is real. And this applies to Derrick Henry as well. He is an elite running back, and if the Ravens take too long to act, there's a high chance of seeing other teams offer him more favorable contracts. And, fans, we know how unforgiving the market can be when a player with potential like Henry becomes available. Once Henry becomes a free agent, any team with enough cap space will target him, not only because of his incredible 2024 stats, but also due to the immediate impact he can have on the ground game and defensive dynamics. In the current NFL landscape, any team with enough room to offer could enter the bidding, especially those with Super Bowl aspirations who need a running back like him to complete their roster. But, of course, the decision to renew with Henry isn't just about market competition. It involves understanding how he fits into the Ravens' larger plan. Baltimore's moves need to be strategic, not rushed, but with the knowledge that the market could force a quick decision. If DeCosta and the Ravens don't act now, they could end up watching other teams take Henry with an offer they couldn't match. Moreover, the fact that Henry is already 31 years old also weighs in on the analysis. He's far from a young player, and even with exceptional numbers, he's entering the most vulnerable phase of his career, where injuries and performance decline can emerge unexpectedly. This is something the Ravens need to assess carefully. The risk of losing a 31-year-old running back for a significant amount is real, and that could be the reason DeCosta is still hesitating on the renewal. However, while DeCosta analyzes this issue, he also knows that losing Henry could create a sense of instability within the team. After all, he was a vital part of the team's offensive success in 2024, and his absence would create a significant gap. This wouldn't be easy to fill, especially considering how much the offense relies on Henry's physicality and dominant presence. The Ravens' offensive line performed well, but without such a key piece, the team might be forced to change their approach, which is not ideal just weeks before a new season. Therefore, DeCosta faces a real crossroads. If he doesn't act quickly enough, he could see Henry leave Baltimore, and the uncertainty about who will fill that void could be a tough blow to the team's confidence. The time to act is now, and there is no room for hesitation. Will DeCosta be able to ensure Henry stays in Baltimore, or will he be another key piece that slips away to another team willing to pay more? Derrick Henry isn't just an elite player. His leadership in the locker room has also been fundamental to Baltimore's success. On a team with so many stars and talents, Henry's presence stands out. He's not just a great running back. He's a respected voice both on and off the field. His impact on the group goes beyond yards and touchdowns. He's a key figure in the team's psyche. Henry's leadership has proven to be an important factor inside the Ravens' locker room. When he joined the team in 2024, he not only brought an enormous offensive threat, but also a leadership mentality, someone who had already faced high-level challenges with the Titans. This serves as an inspiration to the other players, especially the younger ones, who are starting to understand what it means to play on a top-level team. What Henry represents goes far beyond what he delivers physically on the field. This leadership presence is something the Ravens need to consider carefully when making decisions about Henry's renewal. Players like Lamar Jackson and Marlon Humphrey are also leaders in the locker room, but Henry has a unique energy, a confidence gained from years of experience. which reflects in the team's attitude. If he's not renewed, the team's dynamic could be affected, and the impact wouldn't just be on the field, but also on the team's mental state. And despite being a leader by example, Henry also has a competitive approach that shows in the team's performance. He stays focused and determined, which demands a similar attitude from the other players. It's a commitment energy that everyone in the roster absorbs, and without it, the team could lose the rhythm of hard work and total dedication in every practice and game. Therefore, a decision about his stay or departure isn't just about a simple contract renewal. The team's culture, commitment, and leadership is also at stake. That's why DeCosta has to weigh whether he's willing to sacrifice this in exchange for some financial adjustment or roster move, and to what extent this change should affect the team's morale and consistency, especially if the other team leaders feel that a key piece has been left behind. This type of instability can be dangerous, especially considering that the Ravens are in a championship window. A winning culture is built on leaders who know what it takes to get there, and Henry has been one of those voices in the group. His departure wouldn't just be a loss in the ground game, but also a loss in terms of the winning mentality that permeates the team. Would Henry's departure affect the leadership and winning mentality of the Ravens, or will DeCosta be able to maintain the balance between the contract and team leadership? And if you've made it this far, leave a comment saying Henry is more than numbers, so I'll know you recognize his impact not just on the game, but also on the winning culture of the Ravens. Let's continue. The decision about Derrick Henry's future could be more than just a matter of finances or media performance. It has the power to shape the Ravens' trajectory for the coming years. DeCosta knows the team already has a core group of talented, well-established players, but the loss of a piece like Henry, especially after a season where he proved to still be at a high level, could change everything. When evaluating Henry's stay, DeCosta must look beyond just the next season. The choice isn't just about keeping or not keeping an elite running back, but about how this decision fits into a larger plan for the team. Renewing Henry could give the team more stability and a solid foundation to keep fighting for championships. On the other hand, his departure could force an offensive restructuring, something that could be complicated in the short term, especially if the replacement piece doesn't provide the same level of immediate impact. What also comes into play is Henry's legacy. Even though he's 31, his presence on the field goes beyond just counting yards and touchdowns. He represents physical strength, perseverance, and a winning mentality. If he stays in Baltimore, he could be one of the central figures in the pursuit of a championship, not just for his performance, but for the influence he has in the locker room and on the team as a whole. DeCosta has the difficult task of weighing whether it's more beneficial to invest in this pillar of leadership or if it's time to move on and find a new formula. Additionally, DeCosta is aware that the decisions made now don't only affect the present. They will reverberate into the future, especially when it comes to salary cap management, cap space, and the ability to attract new talent. Renewing Henry, while necessary, also represents a significant financial commitment. If he renews, the Ravens will need to ensure there's enough space to continue maintaining other key talents on the roster and still strengthen themselves in strategic areas. The pressure to get it right now is enormous, as any mistake could have a lasting impact on the team's Super Bowl ambitions. The Ravens' long-term planning depends on a meticulous balance, and DeCosta needs to make the choice that will preserve the team's competitiveness, not just in 2025, but also in the following seasons. The ability to adjust over time is crucial, and it will determine whether the Ravens remain in the title chase or if they'll have to rebuild. In the end, what's at stake is not just a player's contract. The decision about Henry reflects the Ravens' aspirations for future. Keeping him could mean keeping the team at the forefront of the NFL. But letting him go? It could be a risky move that might change the course of a franchise that's well-positioned to compete for a championship. Will DeCosta make the right decision and ensure the Ravens stay on track for a title? Or will this choice mark the beginning of a new phase for the franchise? Now, with everything we discussed, the big question is, what will be the next step for the Ravens? The decision about Derrick Henry's future is not simple and will impact the team in many ways, both on and off the field. DeCosta is at a crucial moment, and the choices made now will define Baltimore's path in the coming years. But what about you, fan? What do you think about Henry's renewal? Does he deserve to stay in Baltimore, or is it time to move on? Leave your opinion in the comments, and let's debate the future of the Ravens. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. The team's future is at stake, and the decisions made in the coming days could change everything.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.